time do you think that you can be able to have this heard within the 48 hours remaining to the election?
This case is particularly in the public interest. You can't say a case regarding public interest is limited by the time. In the first place, the Constitution, Article 61, is very clear. The Electoral Commission is mandated to handle pre-election disputes and even during the polling day, still to handle those issues. So you can't say you are limited by the time because we haven't even reached the polling day itself.
Right.
I petitioned a week ago.
Vice Damura, many thanks for speaking to us tonight.
Thank you.
UG Votes takes a break. When we return, we go to the Kampala Central Parliamentary seat, and in the studios, I'll be joined by Alan Ruanga, who is a contestant on the same seat, together with Moses Mohanj, having a conversation on what exactly needs to be achieved in the next 48 hours till we get to January 15th polls. UG Votes takes a break. We'll return in a bit.
Every morning, many parents wake their children in the wee hours to beat heavy traffic just to reach a good school. Say goodbye to drop-off stress. The Stonebridge School brings quality nursery and primary education closer to families within Chira municipality, serving Bulindo, Najera, Namugongo and nearby areas. We offer a warm, supportive environment where children learn and grow, focusing on building confidence, friendships, social skills and creativity, supported by enriching extracurricular activities. To enroll, visit our campus in Sasa Parish, Chira Municipality or call 0200 906 515. The Stonebridge School, UNEB-based quality education within reach.
You used to tell me that I don't make you happy. All that time you would be complaining. I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Running late? Don't panic. With just one tap, Faros gets you there, fast and stress-free. From big moments to everyday rides, Faros keeps you moving. Need a quick ride, a family car, or even a border? Faros has you covered. Faros, reliable, affordable, always there when you need it.
Up next. Brought to you by Rock Boom.
Rock Boom, energy for winners.
With just 2 days to go before the 15th of January polls, concerns are rising in Kampala Central as independent candidate who is with me in the studios here today, Moses Mahanji, is raising alarm over a reported plan to rig votes in the constituency. He has highlighted areas such as Kamocha, Mengo, Kisenyi as potential hotspots and is urging the Electoral Commission and security agencies to act swiftly to safeguard the integrity of this particular election. Joining us also in the studios is Alan Ruanga, who is also contesting for the Kampala Central Parliamentary seat and serves as local council chairman in Kamocha. Gentlemen, many thanks for speaking to us this evening. I'll begin with you, Moses. You talk about this alleged plan to interfere with the vote. Where is it coming from? What sort of evidence do you have?
Well, we have quite a lot of information from different camps, and I know that there's a camp that's been in bed with many people from the Electoral Commission. They were involved in the process of identifying polling officials, polling assistants, presiding officials. So they've been, in a way, in bed with some of the people in the Electoral Commission. And we know their plans because we get this kind of information through our intelligence sources. And for us, it's not our intention to have a messed up election. Ours was to have a free and fair election. And we are sounding an alarm saying, okay, Electoral Commission, take charge. Make sure we have a free and fair election. Security forces do the same thing. But if you do not do that, and we see our votes being tampered with, we see people messing up the electoral process, we see DRR forms being tampered with, we'll use whatever powers we have. Myself, I'm president of boxing. I control so many boxers in the country. They know what it means for them to have this election, for them to have a free and fair election, for me to win this election because we have done so much work. So if we see someone watering it down in a space of maybe a few hours, then we'll try to defend our right.
How do you intend to defend this?
We want to defend it by deploying our boxers, fight for our rights, right? Make sure whoever is involved in rigging these elections gets to get the kind of response that they deserve. This is not the first time.
What kind of responses are you planning? What kind of response are you planning, Moses?
This is not the first time.
Because you have agents.
I'll give you an example. It's not the first time Ugandans have rose up against injustice during electoral processes. President Museveni himself, when they rigged elections in the 1980s, he was able to come out and you saw how he reacted. So even us, we cannot afford to have our effort, our time, our hopes, our dreams messed up by individuals because they have to.
President Museveni went to the bush and opted for violence.
Yes, myself and our team of boxers, those our fans, those who believe in our candidature, we cannot just look on.
All right. Alan, what do you have to say about these claims? Because he does talk about places like Kamocha, Kisenyi and all that. Do you have a plan to protect your vote like his?
You see, when we come into an election and we have all this energy behind us, ill will energy that talks about I'm going to deploy bricklayers, the other person is going to say I'm going to deploy witch doctors. All those things I think are not going to really help us in terms of achieving what we are trying to. The main objective is to get a free and fair election. We should not be worried and we should not be scared. We should also trust the process. I think this time around there's a lot of clarity, especially for Kampala Central. Kampala is where the city is. That's where the most savvy electorate is. People understand what's going on. So I think we should trust the process and give the process enough time and enough due diligence. Otherwise, if we all now sit here and say, my colleague, my honorable colleague, who I have a lot of respect for, if he says he's going to deploy boxers, we might also bring rugby players who might just trash down all those boxers in a matter of minutes.
What steps are you particularly as an individual taking to ensure there's vote protection for you, but also most importantly, to participate in a peaceful election?
We are relying heavily on grassroots mobilization. I come from Kamocha. I'm the LC1 chairman of Coast Africa Zone in Kamocha. I probably have the biggest base of the youth who are following me on my campaign trail right now. We're only trying to limit them in terms of not trying to disrupt the service in the city, but we have up to about 500 who want to follow us on our campaign trail. You can only imagine what it means to move with 500 people at a particular time. So I've been limiting them. We are going to rely on the wananchi, first and primarily on the wananchi, to be vigilant. And they're ready, and these people are savvy and they're educated. People think people from the ghetto are not. These guys have studied, they know how to add 1 and 2 together. So they are very vigilant and they're ready to protect the vote. The second thing is, over time, we've also learned the internet will go off, things will be disrupted, etc. We have mechanisms around that. People are using walkie-talkies now, and there's people who are going to be protecting the vote on our behalf. And some of these people are Ugandans, ingenious Ugandans who have thought about these things ahead of time, and they said, we have a walkie-talkie system that can help to relay information in real time that comes to you as the candidate.
Moses, do you not trust the institutions put in place to manage this process? And this includes the Electoral Commission, your own agents that are required, I think, a minimum of 2 per polling station, but also security, Uganda police.
You see, unless someone doesn't have a background of how we've been voting in Kampala Central, the last maybe 3 or 4 cycles, the elections always end up in court process. The last election, it was in Sereko versus Nyazi. Because someone was aggrieved, they were like, no, this wasn't the true result. The previous one, it was in Sereko against ADR. So you see that there's always been a pattern of voting in Kampala Central. And that's what we are trying to curb ahead of time. But we trust in the process where we are competing, but we're only sounding alarms that please, let's try and have a free and fair election.
What particularly these 3 areas that you've mentioned? Kamocha,
the information we have is that in Kamocha, Mengo, Chisenyi, we have 3 Chisenyis, Chisenyi 1, Chisenyi 3. That's where they intend to do lots of manyanga, and that's the information we have. And if you look at the deployment of the supervisors, the POs, the PAs, you see some kind of planned, organized kind of setup. But we are only telling security, please pay attention, make sure that doesn't happen. EC, pay attention, make sure it doesn't happen. But in the event that we see people messing up our electoral process, we'll have no choice but to get involved and see what we can do about it.
Right, so there's, of course, deployment of BVVK machines, and this is to verify the identity of whoever is going to participate in the voting. Do you not trust that this could be a game changer? Because use of the BVVK machines is mandatory.
The only challenge with those machines is that we were never given a chance to be inducted about them. We really don't understand them. Like, say, me, I'm a candidate. We only hear about them, how they will be applied, how they can be trusted. That information was never shared with us. So we're only relying on what we are seeing on TV, but there was no proper civic education in that regard.
Alan, your 2 cents on the BVVK machines, do you have hope and trust in them?
We must have faith and hope in the institutions that we live with. You know, this is our country. There's no other country we're going to get anywhere else. Even getting into this process, if somebody is aggrieved and worried about the process itself, there are courts of law, there's so many amenities that you can run to for recuse. So let's not worry. I think we're now starting to, I think, comrade, with all due respect, prevention is cheaper than cure, not better, it's cheaper. But with all due respect, I think let us trust the process, let us not be scared. There's trepidation now, and there's mistrust, and it's just going to lead us into which hands so-and-so is doing this, so-and-so is doing that, and that's where the actual disruption of the election comes from. If we all calm down and go and exercise our civic duty correctly, and trust the process and trust the systems, we will all be fine. And I'm confident that I will emerge the winner to take over after Muhammad Sereko as the new Member of Parliament for Kampala Central. Because it's only fair and right that I come in to change a few things here and there.
How have you found the ground, especially for someone who has been around areas of Kamocha, participated in a few projects where you've been a leader? What would you say you've found the ground like?
So first of all, it is a bit of a big competition to compete with a minister. The minister comes in with a lot of clout. She comes in with an office, etc., security detail, and etc. I think she's the only one who really shook the place so much. But in terms of the wananchi out there, people are very savvy and they are looking for leadership. They're looking for change. We need to have a city that works for all of us. The city cannot just be one-sided or biased to people who belong to one party or another. This is a city for all of us. We can all fit in. It's enough for all of us. And the people are listening and they're really keen on understanding what do you have to offer, what are you bringing to the table. And that's what they were looking for.
Alan Luanga, Moses Mahanji, many thanks for speaking to us tonight. The election is just 2 days away. We wish you all the best.
Absolute pleasure.
All I can do is ask people of Kampala Central to vote for Moses Mahanji. My symbol is a clock. I will be there early enough. Make sure you stay there till the votes are counted. Be there. Make sure you confirm that your candidate has made it through.
The man of the chair. Chairman, Alan Luanga.
Samson, I'm hearing about things like deploying boxers at polling stations.
I can tell you we're also deploying reporters. But it is also true that last minute I've become a candidate. And my constituency, the breaking news is my constituency is Live at 9. Let's get into NBS Live at 9. We'll see it.
NBS Live at 9.
The first one is peace.
President Yoram Museveni applauds the people of Kasese for understanding the cost of insecurity.
You, the people of Kasese, are the best witnesses for peace.
Election observers given stern guidelines to observe.
Observers are required to use official observer checklists and reporting tools issued upon accreditation.
Non-compliance will see their accreditation revoked.
You are further encouraged to report any incidents through the established official channel.
NBS dismisses claims circulating on TikTok, purportedly showing an NBS News report that Entebbe International Airport has been shut down. Obviously, it's false.
We are just talking days, just days. It's only days to the 15th of January when we go to the polls. Campaigns finish tomorrow. But for now, let's catch up on what has been on the campaign trail. It's the NRM presidential candidate and flag bearer, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, that has returned to Kasese to campaign in two constituencies as he seeks re-election. Now, in the last election, Museveni narrowly won the district with 48% of the vote ahead of the National Unity Platform's leader, Robert Kyagulanyi, who obtained 45% of the vote. It was Yoweri Museveni, the candidate for NRM, who told residents that renewed support for the NRM is key to safeguarding peace and stability.
President Yoweri Museveni, the NRM presidential flag bearer, returned to Kasese district, where he held campaign rallies in Bukonzo East and later Busongora North constituencies. The president's first rally was held at Chisinga Town Council Playground in Bukonzo East, where residents credited the NRM government for transforming the area, pointing to improvements in education, health services and road infrastructure.
By 1986, Bukonzo County East had 16 primary schools. As for today, we have 64 primary schools.
However, residents raised concerns, calling for improved health services in some areas, the construction of additional roads in the mountainous terrain, and the establishment of valley dams to support agriculture.
We are still faced with the challenge of road maintenance.
Uganda.
You, the people of Kasese, are the best witnesses for peace. You know what peace means, and you know what lack of peace means. You have seen it here in Kasese, and you also live near Congo, so you should be the lecturers for peace.
Museveni said that peace has driven national development and supported infrastructure growth brought by a political environment that allows participation without discrimination by religion or ethnicity. He also outlined how residents can take part in wealth creation and access employment opportunities.
Second one is development. The roads, electricity, telephones, water, schools, health centers, and therefore we told people that you must be clear that yes, peace is there, development is there, but you must deal with the poverty in your home.
The president further pledged to deploy additional road construction equipment to Kasese, noting that the district's size requires expanded infrastructure investment. Kasese has 5 constituency MPs and 1 woman member of parliament seat shared between the NRM and the Forum for Democratic Change, with each party holding 3 seats.
Let's leave yellow, come to red. It's the National Unity Platform flag bearer, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, that has urged his supporters to remain peaceful during the election period and after the voting is done. He warned his supporters to avoid provoking or being provoked by security personnel. Kyagulanyi also called on his supporters to remain united under all circumstances and to vote for him as president on Thursday, saying his leadership will and would address the challenges facing the country. He made these remarks while addressing a political rally held in Aga Khan grounds in Kampala Central.
But we continue to encourage all of you, our comrades.
The leader of National Unity Platform, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, has appealed to NUP supporters across the country to maintain peace and to avoid confrontation with security agencies during this critical election period as the country heads to polls.
To be non-violent, to be disciplined, and to be a law-abiding citizens, because the world is watching and they will judge us by our actions.
At around 2 p.m., Kyagulanyi left his home heading towards Kampala Central, especially Aga Khan grounds, where he was scheduled to hold a rally as part of his presidential campaign. He moved through Kalere, Sir Apollo Kagwa Road and later through Makere before joining Gaddafi Road to Aga Khan grounds. Before Kyagulanyi addressed the crowd, his wife thanked him for his courage and praised the supporters who stood firm despite intimidation and challenges. Kyagulanyi urged supporters to vote for him as president, pledging to rescue the country from its challenges. He reminded citizens in areas where some people were issued party cards but later blocked from contesting and others denominated from the rest to be vigilant and careful while voting, especially voters from areas such as Lwengo and Busiro East. He further appealed to Ugandans to remain united during and after the elections and to avoid engaging in acts of violence or lawlessness.
Eno campaign tebadde ku muntu omu eyo ensonga lwaki nabagamba tebannange mweno campaign temukwata bifaananyi byange wadde nze nkulembedde olutabaalo mukwate bendera y'eggwanga kubeno bendera y'eggwanga yetugatta.
For the second last time, it is going to be my responsibility yet again, like it has been before, to let you know what the campaign program is going to be tomorrow. Off to the big screen do we go. Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu is where we start. Where is he going to be? Busiro East and Nansana municipality, that is where he's going to be for just one of the two last rallies. Yoweri Museveni will be in Kororo. He will be finishing up tomorrow. That is where it all ends. And for Elton Joseph Mabirizi, he finishes off tomorrow in Kasanda. Remember, tomorrow is the final day for all campaigns. Mbarak Mnyagwa will finish up in Mbarara City. That is where he goes one more time. And then Nathan Nandabafabi finishes off in Mbala City. He's gone back home to finish off where it all started. And as well, that is what we kind of have as far as the candidates' rallies for the final day is concerned for tomorrow. Now, presidential aspirants have expressed concern over the heavy security deployment in Kampala and the surrounding areas, saying that this particular deployment is intended to intimidate voters rather than protecting them.
Many Kampala residents who were still uncertain about the election timetable woke up to a shocking sight of armed security personnel spread across the city. Some were on foot, others on motorcycles, and several in patrol vehicles, with nearly all security agencies visibly represented. Law enforcement officers were seen standing silently along the streets and junctions, some carrying tear gas canisters and others heavily armed. This left many city dwellers in fear and questioning the deployment as others chose to continue with their businesses as if nothing is happening in their sight. Adding to the uneasiness, armored vehicles and military tanks were seen patrolling major roads, while others were parked at intersections and public spaces, drawing sharp criticism from presidential candidates.
It is abnormal that the military is now in all streets, not only Kampala, in Mbarara, in Bushenyi, Kapchora, it is everywhere. You deploy military near on all streets. This is a sign of panic and fear, cowardice.
The candidates say the deployment of soldiers and armored vehicles violates electoral guidelines and is meant to instill fear among voters.
There are no loads Why do the commanders have to deploy military and whatever? That means they are intimidating our voters.
They have deployed as if the country is going to war. Areas of Karamoja, they have deployed. Troops are everywhere, tankers, fighter jets in Bushenyi. All this is uncalled for if we believe and say that we are going in for a free and fair election.
They have called on security agencies to immediately withdraw the soldiers and armored vehicles, warning that continued deployment could escalate tensions and undermine the credibility of the election.
So we are saying this should stop with immediate effect. This impunity, this fear, let the voters make a decision without interference.
We are giving all security agencies these 2 days to think twice. Let them not take back us to the times of Milton Obote and the Paul Mwangas.
Of course, later on in the bulletin, there's a story on a massive deployment by Next Media Services. That story is coming later, still talking deployments. Now, the Uganda Police Force has explained a heavy security presence on the streets, stating that it is to ensure safety of Ugandans ahead of the election. The AIGP, Ubaldo Bamnoba, stated that democracy of Uganda does deserve protection for its citizens to cast their ballot without any fears, adding that they would not take chances as far as any Ugandan's security is concerned.
Today's Ghana's general elections, security has been heightened in the capital, Kampala, and across the country. Armed military officers in numbers are patrolling the streets, coupled with armored black members moving through the streets. At the police headquarters in Naguru, the political commissioner of Uganda Police, AIGP Ubaldo Bamnoba, explained that the deployment is to deter any scenarios that might antagonize and endanger the public. He explained that while security cannot reveal its magnitude of deployment, there are all forces out there to ensure safety.
Security that is deployed is as a result of our readiness to respond to any threat that may, originate either internally or externally. And it is also to ensure that as we near the D-Day, every Ugandan is safe and secure.
AIGP Bamnoba explained that the process of elections calls for presidential candidates to use the utmost sobriety to ensure peace prevails. He stated that they will not hesitate to deal with anyone threatening peace.
Unless you have other ulterior motives, why would you fear the security deployment? They are doing their normal duty of patrolling and ensuring that the city is safe, you are safe, so there should be no cause for alarm.
On the consistent questions on whether to stay at the polling stations or not after voting, the police have explained that while some polling stations permit stay of voters in the 20 meters distance, others are in people's homes. He explains that voters should abide by security orders at all times, insisting that security and candidates' agents can protect the votes.
Let's follow security advice. The security has advised that be away. Comply.
It is the Electoral Commission that has concluded its final, if you may, very final and strict briefing on both international and local election observers ahead of the election Thursday, January 15th. And during the meeting held in Kampala, observers were guided on the scope of their mandate and were issued with an official checklist detailing the do's and don'ts of election observation. The Commission warned that any observer that violates the guidelines risks having their accreditation revoked. However, the session also gave local observers and political parties an opportunity to raise their electoral concerns.
It was a beehive of activity at Mistil Hotel in Kampala as the Electoral Commission conducted the final briefing and orientation for both international and local observers ahead of the January 15 general elections. Observers began arriving as early as 8 a.m., joined by the members of the local and international media, all ready for the crucial orientation session. By 10 a.m., the Electoral Commission chairperson, Justice Simon Byabakama, delivered a keynote address, officially welcoming the observers to Uganda to monitor the 2026 elections.
I would like to thank you, our distinguished guests, for your commitment to electoral integrity and democratic governance in our country. Your observation contributes meaningfully to transparency, public trust, and the continued improvement of election management in Uganda.
The meeting later transitioned into a plenary session where participants sought clarification on a range of electoral issues. This opportunity was actively taken up by local observers as well as political party representatives.
We rarely have last-minute voter education.
Will the security agencies, both in uniform and in layer, be able to recognize and identify clearly? Identification can be okay because of the tag, but recognition of the observer so that he can do his work better.
In response, the Commission addressed the concerns raised and clarified its position.
You put these people in one location for 5 hours, 6 hours. Who will contain the situation?
Because it is important that as we look at the security of the elections, the electoral process, we must also look at the security of the country and also the security of other activities apart from elections.
Now let's just go through the do's and don'ts here. Number one, one has to maintain strict impartiality, independence, as well as professionalism. And as well, they have to respect national laws and the Electoral Commission procedures. They also have to avoid interfering with polling or counting processes, as well as refrain from instructing polling officials or voters. And they should and must report observation accurately and as well responsively. And in line with international observer guidelines, observers are not supposed to compare or display political party symbols or colors and handle ballot material, election equipment, or obstruct polling officials or voters in performance of their duties and responsibilities. So we do have Dr. Pauline Mutumba with us, and she does join us here for our conversation. And as well, we will have Mr. Mchunguzi, who speaks for the Electoral Commission. Doc, talking about the deployment, heavy deployment, I don't know how we measure heavy or not. Deployment, good thing, bad thing, from where you see it?
Thank you, Samson. I'll just correct that I'm Pauline Nansamba Mutumba. I'm not a doc, but perhaps in the near future. How do we look at the heavy deployment from where we stand? It could be a positive, it could be a negative, depending how you look at it. One of the things that we emphasize as Uganda Human Rights Commission is that the right to vote, the right to elect our leaders is our civic right and duty. The police and other security agencies are only there to provide the security that is needed. So you'll hear some people commenting and saying heavy deployment can be intimidating, but if you're following the electoral guidelines and you're peaceful, we do not think that this should be a problem. We do call on the security agencies to respect the space of the citizens and to only come in as and when is required. We have election constables who are there to man. So really it depends on how you look at it. It is important that the people who are within the polling area are not armed. That is important because it can create a sense of fear or concern. However, we leave the details of when the police assesses to see whether there's a need to increase deployment or in enforcing the rule of law, if they need to take particular actions, we leave that to them to determine or assess the situation.
And if you may, the observers are here. Normally the observers' reports come out and say the election, give an election report, and then people complain. well, where's the difference between observers' reports and then the other things we hear later after these elections?
Samson, as you've said, the election observers have a specific rule. A specific role. They have guidelines within which they're operating. Of course, as Uganda Human Rights Commission, we are part of the local domestic observers, so we are also bound to follow those guidelines. And it's important that whatever reporting is done is impartial, it is factual, it is evidence-based. And so those are the lenses through which observers must do their reporting in accordance with the legal framework and international and regional standards. I don't know when you say others, what others are reporting, they are not working within a specific framework. Okay. So for example, you'll find some people who make, who exaggerate, or who do not quote their sources. As an observer, you cannot behave in that manner.
Thank you. I'll come back to you in a bit. Julius Mchunguzi is the spokesperson of the Electoral Commission, and he still has some energy in his blood after a very long period. Julius, tomorrow is the final day of campaigns. What lessons have you taken out of this for future reference if you will be around that long?
So, thank you, Simon. Tomorrow, the 13th of January, is the last day for campaigns, and we want to thank all the actors that have been in this campaign race, the presidential candidates, the 8 of them, and the other 83,000 candidates that were nominated for various elective positions, 45,000 elective positions across the country, from councillors to the president. On the whole, really, the campaigns have gone generally very well across the country, across the different levels of campaigns and elective positions. We had a very good start of the presidential campaigns, and then we had those incidents that we all regretted that we saw. But on the whole, we want to thank the candidates, we want to thank the agents, we want to thank their supporters for conducting themselves peacefully and in accordance with the laws. And as we now reach the final phase, the last day tomorrow, we would like to see a similar peaceful nature and atmosphere that will conclude the campaigns, following the laws, following the guidelines of the Electoral Commission, so that then the final day, which will be quiet, the 48 days before the polls, will be a quiet moment, where then voters will be able to reflect on the messages they will have received from across all the candidates. And then on the 15th, they commence the polling by electing their president and electing their members of parliament. So from the side of the Electoral Commission, it is almost all systems go. We are ready. We are working on the final logistical arrangements, distribution and dispatch of materials is completed up to the district level. The staff that are going to undertake and conduct the polling are already trained and on standby, basically waiting for the 15th. Everything is in place, and now what awaits us is the voters turning up on the 15th of January to cast their ballots. And we want to say that these last days, these last 2 days, are going to see an enhanced level of voter education, particularly telling voters and showing voters how to correctly mark their ballots. We want to make sure that on this occasion, we reduce the number of invalid votes as much as possible. That's number one. Number two, we are going to be intensifying in these last 2 days grassroots and community voter education, telling voters what to expect on polling day, the fact that the biometric voter verification system is going to be compulsory, the fact that biometric voter verification and the verification of ballot papers is going to be a must on this occasion, and to let them know what to expect, what to do, and what not to do.
Thank you very much, Mr. Julius Muchunguzi, spokesperson for the Electoral Commission, and we want to thank you very much for being out there dealing with matters our human rights. And the rights of the voters are also here, protected from misinformation and disinformation. And we are coming back to that right after this.
Dismiss moment.
This is the space where we deal with Worokoso. I mean, dismissing Worokoso. Now, there's a claim circulating on TikTok, purportedly showing an NBS television news report that Entebbe International Airport has been shut down due to a bomb threat. Now, that's false. It's false. It's just false. Both authorities and NBS TV have dismissed the claim. No bomb threat has occurred at the airport. I mean, whoever saw it. Furthermore, the image of NBS television broadcast circulating online is fabricated and AI, that's artificial intelligence generated. Entebbe International Airport remains fully operational and functional, with flights continuing as normal as they could ever be. There are no official notices from the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority or government regarding any bomb threat. Here is the verdict: dismiss, because that is false. It's just false. This is what is coming in a bit.
More to come. Brought to you by...
Everyone knows we use Global Paint Undercoat. Now, for the best results, I continue with Global Paint's products. Global Paint, a reliable...
Now, you've been talking about heavy security deployment. Wait until you find out the very heavy NBS deployment for the coverage of the election. Now, that deployment is like heavy.
Movit Relaxer Cream, brought to you by Africa's leading hair and skin experts. I get to wear my hair like I live my life. Movit Relaxer features a moisture-locking ingredient that protects your strands for strength, length, and lasting health, however you wear it. Curly, bouncy, or straight. Movit brings a dazzling brilliance to black hair. Keep moving, keep shining. Bring your hair goals to life and embrace the extraordinary version of you. Movit, all day confidence.
New Tusker Premium Cider. Crisp, delicious apples crushed and blended to create a unique taste explosion.
In the heart of Uganda lies a place where dreams become a reality. Welcome to Zion Estates, your gateway to prime land with titles across Uganda, with estates in Mukono, Bombo, Kaga, Matuga, and many more other estates. With over 15 years of experience, you're guaranteed the best, and you can start paying in installments. All our estates are well planned. Start your journey to land ownership today. Zion Estates, your home, your prestige.
Think about a household. Who manages the budget, the family schedule, and makes sure everyone is cared for? Most times, it is a woman that is both duty and leadership.
Think about our nation with the same kind of leadership, practical, focused on real results, and ensuring that no one is left behind.
When women have a seat at the table, decisions are more inclusive and budgets are more gender responsive. It's not about women taking over, it's about inclusive governance.
Many capable women are contesting in the 2026 elections. They are asking for a chance to deliver inclusive leadership to you.
Let's build a strong Uganda for our shared future. Vote for capable women candidates and support their leadership.
This message is brought to you by Forum for Women in Democracy.
You see, I've been a painter for almost 4 decades, and I have found Global Paints to be very reliable. First, everyone knows we use Global Paint Undercoat. Now, Now, for the best results, I continue with Global Paints products. I go for Silk Vinyl when it comes to the interior. Then Global Matte for the ceiling. And when it comes to weatherproof, I go for Global Weather Coat Emulsion. With that one, the house will never peel. Now, there you have a sparkling, magical looking house. And then the client is very happy. He recommends me to another person who recommends me to another person who recommended me to come and do the advert. Global Paint, a reliable product.
Today, we choose our future. We choose peace. Let's protect our home from violence. Differing choices are part of democracy. Every voice matters. Every vote is for our shared country. Trust in the process and the electoral bodies. Let's vote with our hearts and minds, without provocation and intimidation. This is home. Let's keep it safe. Let's talk peace.
Malayuni Pride Bank. It is so easy. You just have to maintain a minimum monthly balance of 100K and we'll give you health insurance for free. The bigger the balance, the bigger the benefits. Visit a nearby branch or call 0800 333 999 to learn more.
Pride Bank. Your growth is our pride.
Welcome back to watching NBS Live at 9. Uganda is in the process of finalizing the diaspora policy to enable Ugandans living in the United States to exercise their rights by participating in the election process. Uganda's ambassador to Washington, Robbie Kakonge, confirmed this, saying certain steps are already being taken. When asked about the credibility of the electoral process, Ambassador Kakonge stressed that democracy is already a sign of credibility, basing on the fact that we are able to hold the election.
In a few days, Uganda will go to the polls. The countdown has been on. We have a few days left. Unfortunately for the community on your end, they will not be able to participate in the voting process. However, we are informed that some of them have come back home to exercise their rights. Any idea of the numbers that have registered to come back home? And is there hope that maybe in the future, if they are able to vote from wherever they are?
I apologize in that I don't have an exact number of how many people came back to vote, but I will tell you in that not a day goes by when I don't get a message, an email, a question about when do they get to vote in the U.S., you know. Some of it has to do with resources, but also a lot of it has to do with time, because even if they come here, you know, it's 14 hours plus, you know, they have to take time off with their families. So what we're working on is that we're working on, and we're in advanced stages of a diaspora policy, you know, and what does this look like? You know, what are their needs? For the people who come here, I can tell you that I have not met a group of diaspora who are so proud to be Ugandans. At the moment, our biggest community is in Boston, but we also have a big community in Atlanta, a big community in Dallas and Seattle. So the diaspora policy, it's a step-by-step process, you know. So we're looking what are the diaspora, for example, what do they need to get done, you know? They'd like to have basic things like, can they have dual citizenship, you know? So by the time I left the other week, the machines were in place. Now they can apply for dual citizenship at the embassy, you know. So they want to know, can they have their national IDs, you know? So we've worked with NERA and with immigration. They have, actually with immigration, we have an officer from immigration who helps us to manage these processes. So yes, they can apply for their passport while they're there. They can apply for their national ID while they're there. And if you are, like you are aware, all these are processes, especially the national ID, to get you to a step to vote, you know. So not only are we thinking about it, but we're making sure that we put certain things into action, some deliverables. But in the process, we're also engaging with the diaspora on this policy, to see that what is it that they want.
There are concerns about the upcoming elections and if they will actually be free and fair. What is your position on that?
We have not had official concerns, and what instead we have been given leeway, and great appreciation is that these elections are taking place, and again, we consider that when somebody can have not one but 2 holidays, to take care of their civic duty of voting, clearly government and the powers that be have given their thoughts and taken action to making sure that the citizens have the maximum and ample time to vote, because the process itself, that is the democratic process, making sure that these elections happen, making sure that the campaign happens, making sure that we have the multi-parties, so that in itself, sometimes it's not like the one little thing or the other big thing, but it is the process. And one thing that we really appreciate with our relationship with the U.S. is that we continue to talk about these processes, because democracy is not an event, it's a process. Thank you.
And now we get into the election, and the figures ahead of that. Uganda is heading to the polls on Thursday this week to elect their next president and members of parliament. But tonight on NBS Live at 9, we present to you the 2026 general elections, but through the figures. Now, across the board, there are 45,505 elective positions to be filled during this general election. That is from president to the sub-county councillor. Now, when you look at the number of candidates that have been duly nominated to contest for the various elective positions, they stand at 83,597. These are the total elective positions, 45,505, and these are the registered voters that are on the voters register. That is 21,681,491. All these are going to vote at 50,739 polling stations, and that's the total number of polling stations right there. But there are 353 constituencies for elections, directly elected members of parliament, the ones that they are participating in. And then we also have, of course, the number of presidential candidates. So far as we know, officially there are 8 directly elected members of parliament. The nominated ones are 2,025, competing for 353 constituency seats. The district women members of parliament, the ones that have been nominated, are 640, competing for 146 seats. UPDF representatives, of course, those remain at 10, and that election will happen after this particular one, where we'll see UPDF get to nominate some of the representatives of the UPDF, and then youth representatives are 5, workers are 5. District and cities chairpersons, 521 across 146 districts. Parishes awards are 10,717, while villages or cells 71,214. With only 2 days left to Uganda's general election, Next Media Services, under its flagship brand, NBS Television, has flagged off its journalists that will cover the 2026 general elections across the country. The Next Media Group CEO, Ken Karisa, flagged off the team, promising comprehensive and uninterrupted coverage of elections across the country.
As part of the commitment to deliver timely and credible information to Ugandans across the country, Next Media Group has deployed over 140 journalists to cover the 2026 general elections. The group, composed experienced journalists, has been tasked with the mandate of serving Ugandans by delivering timely and credible information. The Next Media Group CEO Ken Karisa handed over gadgets to the team that they will use during the election period, indicating branded protective gear, field vehicles to transport them across the country, and advanced technology to enable real-time reporting for all brands that include NBS Television, Sanyuka TV, Next Radio, and across the group's social media platforms. The head of current affairs, Dalton Kawesa, explained that technology and training remain central to ensuring accurate and fast news delivery.
When you speak about technology, Next Media were anchored on both the people and the technology to ensure that we relieve and deliver the best results. For us, it's not just reporting, it's a national call to ensure that Ugandans, they have to stay glued on their TVs and just receive the information as it comes out from the officials of the Electoral Commission.
Kawesa says Next Media journalists have undergone thorough training and will rely on modern broadcasting technology to report live and file stories in real time.
The readiness has been ensured among our reporters and the producers, and they will be covering all over Uganda. All the districts will cover them.
He also assured NBS Television viewers that this election coverage will be markedly different from previous ones, emphasizing that everything has been upgraded to ensure speed, depth and credibility in reporting.
We delivered in the last 15 years, and every day, basing on the people and the technology, we continue to give the best. We are true to our values, true to our mission, and promise to Ugandans that we will be live, always, everywhere.
The flags of journalists are pledged to be the eyes and ears of Ugandans throughout the electoral process, vowing to serve the public with professionalism, impartiality, and without fear or favor. Several reporters expressed confidence in their readiness, saying they are committed to keeping Ugandans informed before, during, and after the polling day.
Trust us that we will bring you updates minute by minute, but also important to note is that we have received training that will enable us use the technology, highest technology, by the way, not just ordinary technology.
And trust us, this time round, it's going to be massive.
We are very ready, and we've been planning for this, and it's just time.
The 2026 general elections are set to be held on 15th January 2026.
With just hours to the end of the campaign period, we move to the suburbs of Kampala to find out how candidates are making it to the finish line.
Royce Semboga, Fred Nyanzi Sentamu, and Nsereko Madina are among the candidates who were at the Electoral Commission to respond to a petition filed by Faizo Damulira. Semboga says he has vigorously moved around the constituency and is confident that the petition will not derail his campaign as he prepares for a final day tomorrow.
But me, I think it's purely political witch hunt. Our colleagues, instead of campaigning, they have decided to take us to court for nomination. But we are confident we have all the requirements that is still required, and we are nominated. You can imagine in October, but the petition is coming up. I think it's a distraction to delay us from our campaigns.
As candidates place their final emphasis on how they intend to protect their votes, there is a widespread fear that rivals could attempt to rig the elections. Moses Muhangi, an independent candidate for Kampala Central, says he has mobilized boxers under his leadership whom he plans to deploy to safeguard his votes after realizing that his rivals are planning to rig the elections in areas such as Kisenyi, Kamosha and others.
I will deploy my boxers to be in Kampala Central to make sure our vote is respected, is protected.
Muhangi is not alone. Dr. Roy Semboga, a candidate for Kawempe South, and Anderson Burora, contesting in Nakawa West, also says elections are often associated with rigging. They warn that anyone who relaxes may end up being declared as a loser despite having won.
In every single election, NRM wants to rig. In the local election, wanted to rig. In the previous election, 2021, wanted to rig. But we always find a way to tighten the ropes and they never get anything. Even this time round, they won't get anything.
We are ready to protect our votes, and we are ready to have everything we have worked for come out the way we anticipate.
However, Minsa Kabanda, the NRM candidate for Kampala Central, has dismissed claims of vote rigging, saying those talking about vote theft
are the real thieves.
Because they are used to rigging, so they think they are just worried as how are they going to stuff the ballot papers. This time there is no staffing.
Some candidates were found holding small meetings and town hall meetings, while others were meeting voters in small groups as they wait the final campaign day. They say door-to-door campaign strategy has worked best for them, arguing that rallies can sometimes be misleading by creating impression of massive support while attracting people who are not crucial voters.
For many years now, the NRM leadership has delivered peace, progress, and stability. Roads, electricity, schools, hospitals, and jobs, the progress that we all see and feel. These achievements have not come by chance, but they have come through efforts of a tested and visionary leader. As we all go to vote on the 15th of January 2026, Ugandans have a duty to turn up, choose, and vote wisely.
Are you planning an event or wedding? Join us at Nikan Resort Hotel, Uganda. Relaxing accommodation rooms, well-equipped conference halls and boardrooms. Don't miss this fantastic opportunity to experience the best of hospitality and sufficient space. We're located in Seguku Katale, along Entebbe Kampala Road, channeling easy access to Kampala City and the airport. For reservations and inquiries, contact using the information on your screen or visit our website www.nikanresort.com.
Be classic by turning every wash into freshness with Classic Detergent Powder, the high-performance washing solution for all your laundry needs. Toughest on stains, gentle on your hands, and keeps your clothes looking fresh and bright. Enjoy the long-lasting freshness of lavender and lily fragrances. Classic Detergent Powder is affordably priced, giving you unbeatable quality at a price you will love. Customer formulunji, vera mu class, ngokosa sabuni wafe owobuwunga. Classic. Genda kuduka lyoneri kulyo kompi owa supermarket osabe Classic Detergent Powder. Classic Detergent Powder, experience a burst of freshness. Distributed by Chopper General Enterprises, located at shop number 3, Rafik Building, Chikovo, Kampala.
You used to tell me that I don't make you happy. All that time you would be complaining. I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't go.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks, Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000, or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Kabogozi, where are you coming from?
From NSSF.
NSSF? You traveled all the way from Namagund to get NSSF services. Lekanawe. NSSF is now everywhere. Come on, I show you.
You can register for NSSF. I'm contributing to your life. Now I'm deep down in the Barara. Making NSSF payments. No wahala okubeka langala. NSSF sure is not far. But tomorrow kuhika kotido. Enjoy NSSF from where you are.
Access NSSF services right where you live. With over 20,000 quick tele agents across Uganda, now you can conveniently register yourself, make NSSF payments and contributions to your Smart Life account to Obeda. NSSF, a better life.
As the nation continues to grow, efficient, safe and accessible transport systems remain critical to economic development and everyday public access. On this edition of Spotlight UG, we tackle the challenges facing transport infrastructure and citizen mobility in Uganda.